everybody, and welcome back to Griffin, Indiana. It is late winter. The last day of year 3 is upon us, and, well, we're picking up, pun intended, exactly where we left off with Wednesday's video, and that would be collecting bales and taking them down to the silage sell point. That is pretty much all we have in store for today, so if you're hoping for some really witty and entertaining video, then go watch the fact sheet video that's going to drop in about 55 minutes. Because you're not going to get the wittiness out of today's episode. Sorry, Charlie. Maybe another day. But this video is brought to you by Squiggy486. Thank you for being a farm baron. Now, I will say, as a reminder, that tonight we're giving away a copy of Farming Simulator 22 during our evening live stream around 10 p.m. Eastern. I will do the drawing and let you know who won the third copy of Farming Simulator 22, or if the winner happens to already have pre-ordered FS22, well, then they can have the choice to pick to win a copy of the first year's season pass instead. Now, the giveaway is for the PC version of Farming Simulator 22, and it is the Giants eShop version of Farming Simulator 22. So it's not going to be a Steam key, it's not going to be an Epic key, it's not going to be physical media. I'm not going to ship anything to you. I'm not going to do an Xbox version or a PS5 version or anything like that. It's going to be the Giants eShop version. So it is PC only. The reason for doing that is, quite frankly, it's easier for me to provide you with a key. And, quite honestly, it is the first way that you can get Farming Simulator 22. All of the other distribution methods are going to come after Farm Sim 22 has been released over on the Giants website. So if you are a PC player, then why not get it from the source that will get it to you first? And that is the Giants eShop. All right, let's see what we get for a load of silage bales today. All right, looks like our silage bales per load might be a little lower today than it was yesterday. Let's go ahead and look. Oh my gosh, it is way lower. $4,800. I think we were getting $6,700 per load yesterday. Oh, so that'll teach me. I need to sell silage bales on midwinter, not late winter. Midwinter. Lessons learned. Maybe a bit too late to really be effective in continued FS22 gameplay. But yeah, technically, I guess today is 30 days till Farming Simulator 22. Maybe. I don't know. Monday, it's going to be 4 weeks. That is for sure. So the hype train is pulling out of the station at this point. We're getting some really interesting news briefs as to new features coming to the game still. Fact sheets every week are really great. Great to see all of the new stuff coming to FS22. New gameplay elements. Really does seem like they have pulled out a lot of the stops for this particular version of the game as compared to maybe the iteration between 17 and 19 or the iteration between 15 and 17. Although I have to say my only personal experience with Farming Simulator has been with FS17 and then the transition to FS19, and then soon the transition to FS22. So I am curious, those of you who are watching this series, how long has your tenure been with the Farming Simulator franchise? I know that I've heard comments from various folks about their experience with FS11, FS13, FS15. I'm curious, what is your personal experience as far as the Farming Simulator franchise? Basically, when did you start playing, or when did you become aware of the Farming Simulator franchise and basically buy in? And I'd be curious from those folks that have been playing Farming Simulator for quite a long time, what your all's impressions are as far as the general gameplay changes that are coming to FS22 versus maybe the gameplay changes between previous iterations of the game. With my limited experience, I feel that the jump in FS22 as compared to FS19 is probably one of the biggest jumps that we have seen in the franchise. But again, my experience only goes back to FS17 as far as a player goes. And this is load number 2. Just keep track. We're at $204,930. So just a shade under 210,000. When you're talking about big changes in gameplay, the blog post and the news announcement from a couple weeks ago about the changes in ground textures and the changes in basically soil management. That is for me pretty monumental. I mean, in 19, we've got some pretty basic soil states, right? Let's take a look. We've got cultivated, we've got growing, we've got harvested, plowed, withered, planted, okay, and those forth. But coming in FS22, we're going to have all kinds of states. We're going to have harvest ready. There's 2 different harvest readies. One is kind of a texture, it looks like, where you're going to have, the ground is going to be painted in such a way that it kind of mirrors a thick stand of a cereal crop like wheat. And then harvest ready 2 is really interesting. It looks like a cultivated soil texture, except it has plant matter mixed in. A really interesting texture there. Then we have a seeded texture, okay? Then we have a unique planted texture. And the planted texture looks really, really nice because you can see where the discs have basically cut into the soil to place the seed down in the ground. And in a fact sheet we had quite a while ago, it was a John Deere fact sheet that had a planter on it, and if you looked behind the planter, you could see what looked like the disc lines were kind of lining up with respect to the plant boxes on the planter, which is really cool. So let's just hope that continues across all of the various planters, that those end up lining up with correct row spacing based on the texture. And then we had a rolled texture. So the concept of rolling your soil, which I have to say for maybe a large amount of American players, that might be a bit of a foreign concept to roll your ground with a roller. I know it was a foreign concept to me. Growing up, I don't recall witnessing any sort of rolling of the ground, either before or after seeding. So that's something interesting and new. Then we have the ability to roll the soil and press rocks, smaller rocks, back down into the soil, as opposed to having to go around and collect the smaller rocks, but you will have to go around and collect the bigger rocks, which is a pretty interesting thing, you know, in and of itself. We have seen before mods that will cause rocks to spawn, although those mods aren't super well known. Probably because they've never really made it to the Giants mod hub, as far as I know. I would really like to see in FS22 a larger majority of modders submitting mods to the Giants mod hub. I mean, clearly that is where you're going to get the biggest audience, the biggest bang for your buck, if you will, as far as eyes on your mod. Largest number of potential downloads is going to be on the Giants mod hub. And the reason for that is because, well, the Giants mod hub is the only avenue to get your mod on console. And that is that typically is a pretty big aspiration for modders, is to get your mod on the mod hub and have your mod released for console players, because I have to say they are the most ravenous group of players about mods that I have ever seen. I mean, I don't think their taste for mods can ever be satisfied. I mean, for me, I've gotten mod burnout before, where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, there's mods on the mod hub. I'm not really that interested in looking at them because, well, I mean, how many 25,000 liter trailers do I need? Right? How many weights do I need? But man, those console players, ravenous. I mean, it's like if there's a day that goes by that Giants doesn't release a mod, it's like they go insane. It's like call the cops, because they're gonna go crazy. They're gonna break something up. But yeah, I'd like to see more and more modders submit things to the Giants mod hub as the first source of their mod release. All right, so this should be load number, I think this is load number 4. I don't think we're going to have any issue whatsoever getting to $230,000. Really comes down to how much money do I want to have above that until I buy Field 7. We're at 220,000, nearly 220,000 right now. 2 more loads, I'll be near 230 grand. And I'm sure I've got probably another 3 loads, hopefully, maybe 2 loads in the field. And then we have 7 full loads stacked along the fence. So I was a little mistaken. We don't have 2 more loads here in the field. In fact, we don't even have 1 full load here in the field. This is our last bale from our second silage cut, and now we have the fun process of collecting the bales that we already had stacked up. But back on the discussion of ground textures and groundwork, we've got a new texture in basically no-till seeding, which is great because that texture basically combines a mulched texture with the seeded texture to really give you a really nice look, as if you basically have gone through and seeded immediately following planting or harvesting a crop, and that's really cool. The new mechanic of using a mulcher to basically cut the field stubble off of the harvest, and that gives you a yield bonus to incorporate more plant matter back into the soil post-harvest and before seeding. So lots of new steps can be added to your gameplay if you wish. It's not saying you have to, right? The concept that you could roll your seed bed, so you seed your crop, you sow your crop, and then you can come through with a roller and you get a whole different texture of rolled seed bed or rolled seeded, and then you get a little bit of a yield bonus from rolling your seed. Again, that concept is a little foreign, I think, for a lot of American players. I was in a discussion on one of the Discords that I'm in, and some folks were talking about how that wasn't necessarily a practice that they have seen in their particular area of the country, while others in other areas of the country did state that, well, I've seen people around here roll their crops or roll their grasslands. So it just seems like maybe there's so many different, and maybe that's what makes this game so unique, is that there are so many different ways to farm, not just internationally, but domestically as well, possibly within your own country. From the north part of the country to the south, the east to the west, you could have drastically different farming techniques based on soil type or weather conditions. Think about other simulation games, maybe a driving simulation game. Aside from driving on the wrong side of the road, when you're in the UK or Australia or a few other interesting decision countries, driving is driving. You have a wheel, you have pedals, you have a shifter. Depending on if you drive on the wrong side of the road, you might be driving on the wrong side of the car, so your shifter might be on the wrong side of you. But you drive the same way you would get into a car and drive pretty much anywhere in the world, because, well, the automobile industry, for better or worse, has standardized on a specific set of controls for automobiles and trucks and vehicles of that nature. That didn't used to be the case. Back when automobiles were a new thing, there were drastically different control mechanisms between brands, and even sometimes within the same brand between products or years. I've seen images where early cars were steered with a stick, almost like a flight stick in an airplane, or they were steered with pedals, kind of like you have left and right brake pedals on your tractor. So very different control schemes. But overall, driving is driving. You think about other simulation games, hunting games. You go out and you hunt. You have a rifle. Rifles, for the most part, again, have very similar controls. You have a trigger. You've got a barrel. You've got a breech. You've got your chamber where you put your ammunition in. You have sights. You'll pull the trigger. Your boomstick goes boom, and hopefully whatever you're pointing the boomstick at falls down, and well, there you go. You've got yourself a trophy. But farming can be wildly different from different areas of the country or different countries in total. So another call to action, if you will, sound off in the comments below. What other simulation-based games are similar to Farming Sim with respect to the fact that they are intended to simulate something that has a very varied style of operation, from one area of the world to another area of the world, or maybe one part of the country to another part of the country. I've been trying to think about that for weeks, and while I'm not a massive simulation game aficionado, I do like to think that I have played my fair share of simulation-based games, but still kind of run blank on what other games out there might cover such a wide dynamic array of how you could do things. Of course, you have games that are similar to Farm Sim that deal with agriculture that would clearly qualify also, but I'm talking about something completely different. We've got $229,000 in the bank. And let's see here. We got, what, 3 maybe? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have maybe 4 full loads, or nearly 4 full loads of silage bales to go. At just under $5,000 a load. So that is probably not going to be $20,000. It's probably going to be closer to $18,000. So I think today's our lucky day. We're going to be buying field number 7. Let's see. Let's see if we do it. All right, here it is. This is the load that makes us poor. Back it on in here. $230,000. Thank you very much. We are now poor once again. So we've got 3 full loads of bales still up to sell. So that's going to be 4, 8, 12, 15. We'll have about $15,000 to $16,000 now in the bank. Not that big of a deal. All of our fields are fertilized, other than the field we just bought. All of our fields are sprayed with herbicide. Again, other than the field we just bought. We don't have any seed in the ground on the last field. But, like I said in a previous video, I think I'm going to let that field sit and plant it in corn here as we get further into year 4, because we're going to put corn on the rest of our 3 fields as opposed to soybeans in our final year play. That way we can sell the corn and maximize our revenue at the end of the year, as opposed to having all of those soybeans in the silo waiting to be sold during the summer of year 5, which isn't going to happen. You know, sitting here watching this load time after time after time, it's got me thinking about the new sound system in FS22 and how here in 19, you know, the tractor really doesn't rev up unless you move it. But what it sounds like with FS22 is we're going to have engines that have more dynamic sound range, and they're going to basically rev up. I think when we use the hydraulics, or when we engage the PTO, which is really going to help, you know, with the overall, just dare I say, immersion factor of the simulator of the game, where you have it, you know, the tractor revving up as it is pushing the hydraulic fluid through the rams and various other valves and whatnot. Well, this is our last load of silage bales. This will be the last bit of income that we get in year 3. I think we're going to be just under $16,000 in the bank. Want to bring you back for this final load, and then go over and kind of check out our acquisition on Field 7. Get a little closer look at it. We've seen it from afar, from Field 8 a few times. But yeah, I thought let's go over there and get a little closer look at our latest land acquisition. So last time we'll need to drive through these guys' backyards, this little alleyway. I don't know what these guys do with all these silage bales. Would be neat if when you sold stuff, you would see it appear kind of off to the side or something. There we go, $16,752. In total, we earned $48,500 off of our silage bales today. We earned about $19,000 off of the silage bales we sold yesterday. So pretty good money. Pretty good money in silage bales over the 2 cuts that we did on that big grass field. And then the little area down below the house. So as we make our way over to Field 7, once again, a big shout out to all of our farm hands, farm barons, and farm bosses. They are all members of the channel. If you're interested in becoming a member of the channel, go ahead and take a look down below the video. There is a join button. You can check that out and see what all of the benefits are. But here is Field 7. Really nice, flat, rectangular field. Not too close to the tree line. It goes back for a little bit. We could, if we were adventurous, kind of merge Field 7 and 8 together. But, like I've said before, I'm never really that adventurous. But we will need to, once again, get out our soil scanner and scan this field. see what it needs in the way of lime and such, and figure out when we can plant our corn in year 4. So when we come back on Monday, it will be the first day of spring, year 4, our final year of gameplay here on Griffin, Indiana. Hope you guys have enjoyed this series. I've enjoyed putting together and experiencing 3-day seasons. I don't think I've played 3-day seasons very long on FS17 or 19 up until this point. And until next time, happy farming.